Lean, the word lean makes an official appearance in this guide. How important is it with doing really good Scrum?
Okay, a few years ago, senior manager, actually general manager of one of the biggest companies in Japan, flew to Boston, and he met me for a beer, and he said, "Jeff, I want you to bring Scrum to Japan." I said, "There's already Scrum in Japan. You have trainers there." He said, "They're not teaching the true Scrum." I said, "What's the true Scrum?" He said, "The Scrum of Professor Nonaka and Takeuchi. The Scrum that's in the paper where you got the name Scrum, 1986, Harvard Business Review, new product development game. That is a paper about lean hardware companies. 100% of that paper is lean hardware companies." And Takeuchi and Nonaka describe how the teams worked, and it reminded them of the game of rugby. So they said they're working so closely together, we're going to call that Scrum. Now, the senior manager said, "My company is owned 20% by Toyota. We are going to be the trainers of Toyota. We have to bring a Scrum into there that is actually better than lean. And what they're teaching now doesn't work." And he said, "Not only that, we want a joint venture with you, company, which today they are the majority owners, but we own part of it. And we are the trainers at Toyota, for Toyota Research, for Toyota IT. And lean is a central piece of our training. And we always taught that in all my Scrum courses. So, right now, I'm thinking there's really 4 components. If you're going to go into a company like Toyota and you're going to elevate the best lean company in the world, you need the Scrum guide. You need lean tools and principles. You don't need everything, but you need some fundamental lean tools. Single piece continuous flow, which is really the basis of the pattern swarming. So what I've done is put into these patterns these kind of things. So the patterns are extremely important. You cannot get, people tell me, "Oh, patterns are optional." Okay, these 8 patterns, if you don't have them, you will never get a team going 5 to 10 times as fast in your lifetime. And some people still argue to me, but nobody's been able to show me a team that's going 10 times as fast that isn't implementing these patterns. So the guide, fundamental lean principles, the patterns, and then scaling needs to be part of the training today, because what's happened is the scaling frameworks, I think this is even published in the Scrum, at Intel, scaling frameworks were introduced and it slowed teams down. And then the agile leadership at Intel comes to me and they said, "You're responsible for this, Sutherland. You need to fix it." Because not only did the management throw out the scaling frameworks, they said, "We do not want to hear the word Scrum ever again at Intel." So I said, we need to write down something that actually works at Intel.
And I've heard you tell this story before, Jeff, and just to clarify, they weren't banning Scrum. It just, there was so much bad Scrum out there that they didn't want people using the name because it was like a blanket covering defects instead of actually using the framework.
It was similar to what Henrik Nieberg found at Spotify, okay? He went into Spotify, they're doing Scrum, and they have Scrum Masters, but they're just following the rules and not getting the results. So we said, well, we're going to change the name Scrum Master to Agile Coach. So they had to change the name to start getting the good Scrum results, right? So these are the kind of problems you run into. So we need to teach Scrum Masters, Scrum Guide, basic lean principles, the high productive patterns, and the fundamentals of scaling, where you don't slow down when you add more teams.